I heard there's an NBA final, live final going on, and it's like multiple days. Is that true?
Yes. It was yesterday, obviously, and today. Bossman clearly has a piece of that. A couple other names we see in our premium Slack also involved. But yeah, they got to go through the rest of today's game. So if there's any sort of sweat going on for people of the Awesemo brand, I'm sure you'll see it on our Twitter account. So go to @Awesemo_com to follow us. Shout out to Yahoo Sports for being the presenting sponsor of this show. I'll tell you a little bit more about Yahoo as we get started. But as we slowly get people in the door, be sure to hit that thumbs up, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. So yesterday, 220.85. That was the winning score in the big contest on DraftKings. Brandon Bielak and Zach Gallen. You needed the 5-man Mets stack: Alonso, Cano, J.D. Davis, Nimmo, Dom Smith, Trent Grisham, Tatis, and Travis d'Arnaud. The stack was the Mets and Padres, which makes me feel great. Glad I avoided that.
Yeah, I think Lofty and I were on the Mets somewhat. I ended up just playing a little bit on FanDuel because I was late swapping for NHL and stuff, so wouldn't have had time. But yeah, I mean, just looks like your standard 5-man Mets stack. We love Tatis. I'm sure you saw the controversy, or maybe it's controversy, maybe not, about Tatis hitting a grand slam on a 3-0 pitch when they were up. I don't think there's not that many people like mad about it, but I don't know, maybe a couple of people are mad about it out there. That's awesome.
If you're mad about it, you need to really reevaluate the things that happen in your life.
Right. Like, it's guy hit a home run on a 3-0 pitch. What was he supposed to do? Just ground out on purpose?
Yeah.
Let him throw 3 strikes in a row?
You don't stop from hitting home runs if you can. You don't want to take extra bases and stuff like that on the base path. Whatever. If I remember correctly, like, it's not like the game was fully out of reach. Like, it was a 7-run, was it 10-3, something like that?
Yeah, it was like 6 or 7 run game, which doesn't happen.
You don't ever stop trying to hit. You just don't. This isn't Little League. These guys are paid to do this.
And guys have like incentives for home runs hit and batting average and all this stuff in their contracts. Yeah. Like, it's just for the people that are mad, and maybe there's not that many anymore. But I remember we used to get comments in the YouTube chat all the time. Like, when we first started a couple of years ago, like, oh, so disrespectful. Just, you know, I just don't get it. It's supposed to be fun. It's entertainment. Let's play.
That's baseball for you. Anyway, hit that thumbs up. Let's talk a little bit about Yahoo. They are the presenting sponsor of our baseball shows. Highly recommend you go check them out, because that's the only way that you can become a baller, one. And it's the only way that you can get them YSRPs. You can get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports Rewards points by signing up using the promo code Awesemo. It's going to treat you like every DFS site, but you're going to have softer competition. You'll see a lot of 10 max contests, and the real key to it all: low management fees or daily no management fee contests. That's where your bread's going to get buttered. Being able to remove a management fee from the money that you quote unquote lose is fantastic. It makes you significantly more profitable to just spend less on that sort of stuff. I highly recommend you check out Yahoo. Again, you can get up to $30 in them YSRPs. Use that promo code Awesemo. Jake, we've got 10 games to dive into. We've got to give way to NBA Live Before Lock at 12:30. So we've got an hour. We can't be giving any crazy long-winded opinions. Not that I ever do that, but you know what I mean. You ready to dive into this?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All righty then. Yankees and Rays, 4.1 run implied total for the Yanks, 4-4 for the Rays. Masahiro Tanaka against Blake Snell. 2 legitimately decent players. Well, one really good, one sometimes good starter. Are you looking towards Tanaka or Snell at all? Snell, 9,500 on DraftKings. Kind of a big number against the Yankees.
Yeah. I mean, obviously a really tough matchup. It's not quite the Yankees lineup that we're accustomed to without Stanton and Judge. So he's getting a break there. I still think he's going to be able to get strikeouts here, and that's what you're looking for with Snell. You're getting somewhat of a discount on him. He's a favorite, and it's a really low total for Yankee Stadium. So I got to about 13% of Snell, who's 20% owned. Okay. I would like to get to a little bit more of that because I think he's probably still one of the highest upside pitchers on the slate. Maybe right next to Castillo, and the ownership difference is pretty significant right now. So yeah, I like Snell. I certainly don't think I'm going to be going to Yankees bats here.
Yeah, we're going to see Snell's ownership go up quite a bit now that Castillo is not a part of this slate too.
That's right. I crunched right before that game got announced out, so he's gonna come way up.
Yeah, I would say Snell's probably my second favorite starter today. It's going to be pretty difficult for me to get away from him. I think Tanaka's probably going a little under-owned. We have him getting 5% ownership on DraftKings, no ownership on FanDuel. I don't mind getting to a little bit more. I like him more than any of the other arms at 7K. David Peterson picking up 18% ownership, Nate Pearson picking up 13%. I think that I would lean more towards Tanaka in that spot, but Snell is the guy I truly have my eye on. From a hitting perspective, am I reading this correctly? Like the Yankees just aren't owned?
Yeah, it's
from top to bottom not owned.
Well, I mean, do you think they should be? I don't think they should be very.
I wouldn't have expected I wouldn't expect 1% straight down the line for FanDuel and DK. Mm-hmm. Like someone gets in there an extra lineup now.
Yeah, I guess. You would think like maybe Sanchez just against any lefty would get some ownership here. Right. Or like Gleyber Torres, shortstop, 4,600. Like there's some okay guys to get to. I'm just not really in the business of one-offing against stud pitchers that much.
Yeah, I hear you there. I'm not saying that I think that the Yankees should be like massively owned or anything along those lines, but I was a little surprised to see just straight ones down the column. Yeah. I think Aaron Hicks would be a fine option if he really is leading off. Torres and Sanchez are great. I don't think it matters all that much just because it's going to depend on how much ownership Snell picks up from Castillo. If that number starts getting a little higher, I don't mind betting on some of the power from New York. But when it's in the 20s, I don't see the hedge as like, I don't think the hedge is possible.
Right. You mean like the leverage that you get stacking against him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's obviously going to be much higher now. So if he's the most popular pitcher on the slate and you're a contrarian player, and you're always looking to gain as much leverage as possible, which isn't a terrible strategy in MLB. You're still getting a team that is pretty loaded in the top 5 at the very least, even without Judge and Stanton. So yeah, it is a good team. I get it from that sense, but with the Yankees bats, like I would either, if you just think it's way too low owned, I would just stack them up and hope you get Snell having his one of his 3 or 4 bad performances over the course of a 162 game season. So maybe he has 1 or 2 of those this season, and just hope to catch lightning in a bottle with the high upside team.
Man, some people are just insane. Anyway, let's talk Rays bats. Not actually Twitter, but neither here nor there. I really like the Rays. That should not be terribly surprising. They're not getting a lot of ownership as a stack. Tetsugo is picking up 21% on DraftKings because he's $2,400. After that, it's like 7, 8, 9, 10, relatively light. Rays my 3rd overall stack today. Kind of jumbled up too, but if they're going to go relatively low owned as a 5-man, I think that's a direction I'd like to go. We have Tampa in the middle of the pack in top stack odds. They also have a pretty high ownership share. A lot of that is being wrapped up in value bats that I don't think you necessarily need. I think it's pretty easy to get to the top of the Rays order. Do you want to stack against Tanaka?
I don't mind stacking against Tanaka. You alluded to the top stack tool. They're a little bit overowned. No one's crazy overowned right now, but as things switch around, if they start getting up closer to double digits, I might just look elsewhere. For now, though, pretty good prices on the guys in the middle of the order. So usually with what I do with these lower owned stacks is look to them more, or these low priced but high value stacks that get owned a lot is just try to go with 2-mans and 3-mans. I think they're a really good candidate for that tonight.
Yeah, Meadows in the leadoff spot, 5K is pretty healthy price tag, but I think he's the best bat on the team today. G-Man Choi at 3,300. That's a pretty easy way to fill out a first base spot. Do you think you get to like the field of the Rays, or do you think you end up under there?
I would say right now, if they're going to be double their top stack percentage, I would be below.
Okay.
They might come up a little bit. They might go down a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how the one game being off the slate is going to affect things, but yeah, right now I'd say below on Tampa stacks.
Okay. What's your favorite bat in this game on DraftKings? I'll hit everybody with FanDuel after this.
Probably Meadows. You're just not getting him at a discount, really. 5K.
Right.
And then, on the Yankee side?
Yeah.
I'll take Gleyber Torres, $4,600.
Yeah, not bad for a shortstop. From the Yankees on FanDuel, give me Torres as well, 2,900 for shortstop. And then on FanDuel, I'm with you. It's Austin Meadows, 3,600 for an outfielder, but in the leadoff spot, lefty-righty against Tanaka. That looks good to me.
Yep.
Ooh. Next one, not all that appealing. Pirates and Indians. 3.9 run implied total for the Pirates, 5.1 for the Indians. If you look on FanGraphs, it's Jonathan Brubaker. If you look everywhere else, it's JT Brubaker. But either way, Brubaker going up against Carlos Carrasco. Carrasco picking up some love, 14% owned on FanDuel, 24% owned on DraftKings. Brubaker not owned at all. How are you handling Carrasco here? Not a fun strikeout matchup, but he looks really good, and I'm not all that worried about a Pirates lineup that projects with a 92 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah, I guess just the strikeouts is always a thing with Pirates. So on the season, let's see. I've got 2019 pulled up, which probably isn't too bad of an idea. On the season, the Pirates are at, just got to do Control F. Oh, they're actually much higher than I expected. 24.5% against righties this season. Is that right?
I would not have expected it to be that high.
Wow. So that's top 10. I wonder why that would be. Maybe just weak at the bottom of the lineup. Or some of these guys have taken a step back or just they're striking out more. Anyways, that's a lot higher than I expected. I thought they'd be well below league average. 51 WRC plus against righties this year. So they've just had a real tough go. Carrasco's projection with Castillo off the slate now, he's the highest projected pitcher on the slate right now. Not going to be a great value for almost 10K, but I think I prefer him over Darvish if I could only have one of those two guys. So, yeah, I like Carrasco against the Pirates with that increased K rate so far.
Right now, I have Darvish ahead of Carrasco. We'll see as we get a little bit more information and finalize lineups if that changes. But Carrasco is 3 behind Darvish, behind Snell.
Okay.
I think the ownership is reasonable, though. I wouldn't see a way to get away from it. I certainly have zero interest in a Pirates bat. I'll say that I like Josh Bell a little on FanDuel at 2,500, but I don't see this as a stackable team at all. And Ramirez and Lindor are picking up a ton of ownership across both sites. I think that you can get to a 5-man Indian stack pretty easily, but you'll probably want to leave one of those guys out depending on what the rest of your stack looks like. Indians are 10th for me, so I can't really make a big stance on them. I would have some, but I wouldn't go crazy.
Yeah, I'm seeing Lindor, Ramirez, which are two guys you always get to if you use the Awesemo projections. They're just really good for DFS as long as they're not facing an ace. I didn't get to a lot of Indian stacks, though. Like, there was mostly those two guys and then some Franmil Reyes. And that was really about it for Cleveland here. I got to 6% Brubaker just because it's $4,700. And Alex has them expected to go deep enough to get to almost double-digit points on DK. And that's valuable if you're 4,700, no matter who you are.
All righty. Favorite bat on the Pirate side? Do you have one?
Yeah, you hit it, Bell.
Okay. On the Indian side, who are you taking, Ramirez or Lindor?
Ramirez. I'll take Ramirez.
As will I. We're running in lockstep here. Indians, by the way, 5th in the top stack odds. They're about as owned as their top stack percentages. So keep that in mind. To my Braves, the Atlanta Braves, 5.2 run implied total. Nats, 4.8. 55% chance to win for Atlanta. Josh Tomlin going for the Braves. Austin Voth going for the Washington Nats. Neither pitcher picking up any ownership. You get to either one of them. I think Voth probably a little too expensive for this spot.
No, I don't think I'm going to get to either of these guys. Not great strikeout matchups, even if they were great strikeout pitchers. No, I'd be more worried about rostering bats. Or not worried. I'd be more inclined to roster some bats here. Not high totals on either side. So that's making me pause a little bit. Like, I'm looking at Freddie Freeman, of course, Markakis down the lineup, and then Travis d'Arnaud. His price is just broken on DK.
Yeah, he's your cash game catcher.
Is he the best option? I haven't, I guess, looked at catchers.
I can't imagine it. I'm just assuming there's not a catcher that has like more than 38% ownership at 3K.
Yeah. Oh, he's
just a safe guess.
Wow. I didn't even
3K,
notice that.
38% owned. That's your cash catcher.
38%. Yeah. So I would just roster that in cash and move on. Yeah, I think the Braves are a perfectly fine stack here. They've just got a pretty good lineup, and we certainly don't expect big things from Voth if you look at the projections.
Braves going a little overowned. Washington also going a little overowned. They break out as my number 4 overall stack on DK, number 5 on FanDuel. That Trey Turner, Eaton, Soto trio at the top always looks great. Eric Thames, if he's in the lineup on FanDuel, 2,300. I think that's a really nice spot to try to buy a home run. If you're going to get to any part of this game, is it a Brave stack or is it a Nat stack?
Yeah, it's probably a Nat, or I'm sorry, it's probably a Brave stack. Just because they've got kind of a good mix of expensive guys. Well, really Freeman, and I guess Swanson is somewhat expensive. Yeah. Leading off Ozuna in the mid 4s, and then a bunch of value options as well. d'Arnaud, Markakis, and Duvall down their lineup. So like how the Brave stack sets up a little bit.
Yeah, so do I. A little surprised to see some of their ownership. I mean, even if you just leave out Travis d'Arnaud in a GPP lineup, you're going to be unique. So yeah, no problem getting to something like that, like the Braves and flat total too.
I think the reason the Braves are overowned is because like we take the average ownership of all the guys in the lineup for the top stack tool, and he's just bringing that up so high. So I don't actually think it's going to be 5-man Brave stacks and 7% of lineups. It's going to be a lot of d'Arnaud, like Freeman lineups or something like that in tournaments. So they are technically overowned, but I don't think that the actual stack is going to be that popular.
Travis d'Arnaud making up 64% of all of the hitting exposure for the Braves on DraftKings. So
yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's not quite. Ooh, Aaron Gordon ruled out in the NBA. That's very important news that I need to deal with in 45 minutes when NBA Live Before Lock kicks off with Dave Loughran and Adam Scher taking you all the way up to 1:30 p.m. And then we get Jake, you'll be on at 12:30-ish for NHL?
Probably push that back about 15 minutes. So 12:45 Eastern time is when Cliffy and I will start and talk about 4-game slate. Got some pretty good prizes today.
There we go. And we also got the PGA Strategy Show every Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Ben Raza and Tim Frank breaking down the whatever Open is happening this week. I have not seen anything for golf yet, so I will learn about this week's tournament.
The Northern Trust, it is.
Thank you.
Northern Trust.
I don't know what you had to do today that you know that, but I appreciate it.
I upload all the videos for Jason. So
that'll do it. All right, let's sum this one up quickly. Favorite Braves bat on DraftKings?
I'm gonna exclude Freeman because he's basically always the guy I get to. I like Markakis. I just think that people don't play him as much as they probably should, and they leave him off of stacks because they don't think he's a high upside. They don't think he's a high upside player, but that doesn't necessarily matter if you're stacking up a team. So I like Markakis a little bit.
And on the Nats?
I mean, I'll leave off Soto, and I liked your Eric Thames call.
All righty. On FanDuel, I am going to go to Freddie Freeman because I think he's the best bat on the Atlanta Braves, and I don't mind picking him on multiple days. And on the Nats, the guy that I always take, that would be Trey Turner, 3,400, shortstop, leadoff spot. I like it when you can do all of those things. Perfect opportunity for everyone to hit the like button while you're here. Like I said, it helps us out an absolute ton. Likes matter, and the NBA show is going to blow us out of the water, but we can take pride in having like a better like to view ratio, I think. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up. That is what I would like to see. Free content today: NBA ownership rankings, NHL player projections, MLB ownership projections, and Alex Baker's PGA rankings. All 4 of those pieces of content for today and today only are free. Go check them out, awesemo.com. To the Dodgers we go. Dodgers and Mariners. Dodgers favored by 2.1 runs, 5.8 run implied total for LA, 3.7 for the Mariners. That's a 70% chance to win. Tony Gonsolin going for LA, Marco Gonzalez going for Seattle. No ownership going to Marco Gonzalez. That should not be surprising. No ownership going to Tony Gonsolin either. 2% owned on FanDuel, 3% owned on DraftKings. I just don't think he goes deep enough in a game. I'm not going to be getting to pitching here. Are you?
Yeah. The problem with Gonsolin is we don't have it projected going very far. So we only got him for 11.3 points on DK for 8,700. Even with range of outcomes, like even if you're not just using median projections, I think his upside is just capped, as is the case with a lot of Dodgers pitchers. So it's not like you're getting a great price on him either. It's the win equity is baked into his price. So I probably won't get to either of these guys. Marco, I haven't looked at him in the top pitchers tool. I'm guessing he's under-owned just because he's not like any cheap guy that's not owned at all has a 4 or 5% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Yeah. So those will be guys I'll try to get to just because no one's playing them. Even with that being the case, I got to 0 Marco Gonzalez trying to get to him in 150 lineups. So probably a no-go for me. And then you just stack up the Dodgers bats. I think at this point, it's just probably the best lineup now in the MLB night to night with no Judge and Stanton in the Yankees lineup. So
and no talent in Boston any longer.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have the Dodgers with the 4th highest top stack odds. I don't get the sense that I'm going to get there. I have them 7th. This is, I don't know if it's just a price thing. We got Mookie at 6,100, still grading out okay. AJ Pollock picking up 50. He's the most owned guy on DraftKings right now. I think that I'm more likely to fade the Dodgers than play the Dodgers. What about you? What are you seeing?
They're not my number 1 stack right now. They're always kind of up there in the mix though. They're probably 3rd, looks like 3rd or 4th. I don't have aggregate ownership, but you've got Mookie at almost 20%, and then some other guys in double digits, Pollock and Justin Turner right now based on their ownerships, Chris Taylor as well. So they're up there for me, but not number 1. I think they're not getting really over-owned. It's essentially the same. If you're looking at DraftKings, there's just some other teams that are really under-owned that have a better or almost just as good chance of being the top stack.
Favorite Dodgers bat? This one's tricky because of their price tags.
I'm gonna go with Pollock. I think that's probably the chalk answer. $3,900 batting cleanup is what we have him in for. I'll take Pollock.
I want to agree with you, But I think on FanDuel, I'm going to take Justin Turner, 3,200, similar ownership. I think that I could find an outfield bat that's slightly better off today. On the Mariners side, I don't want to recommend a bat. They stink.
No, they do. They do stink. Let's see if I got to any of these guys. I always get to Awesemo. I think it's just because he's cheap. $3,500, and he bats in the middle of the order. So that's the one guy I got to over 5% on Seattle.
If I were going to get a Seattle bat individually on FanDuel, it would be Dylan Moore. And at that point in time, I would just assume that baseball had ended, or I started playing like AAA DFS, and that would be terrible.
Yeah, it's not great there.
It's not
in
great.
Seattle.
Let's get out of this one. Marlins and Mets. Yeah, this is about to get a lot better. A 4.1 run implied total for the Marlins, 5.4 for the Mets. Humberto Mejia going for the Marlins, which I think I did like a fantastic job of saying that right now.
Yeah,
anyway, David Peterson, that one a little bit more in my wheelhouse, going for the Mets. Peterson, 18% owned on DraftKings right now at 7,600. Mejia at 5K on DK. Are you paying down for Mejia? One, I don't think he's going to be in the game long enough, so I am not. What do you want to do with David Peterson at 18% ownership and potentially more now that Luis Castillo is out?
Yeah, I like Peterson a lot. Real quick on Mejia, yeah, just not going to go deep enough, I don't think. Looking at Peterson, he's not like a super impressive pitcher. He doesn't miss a ton of bats, 19% K rate going back to the start of last season. I've got 2019-20 included here. But it's just the Marlins against lefties. They're striking out, I think, at over a 25% clip. If you just search by their active roster. So
I have their projection at 26. That's how bad it is.
27.3 this season, 176 plate appearances. So we're still talking about a pretty small sample, but yeah, I don't think we'd expect the Marlins to be great against either hand, despite they won quite a few games. They've only played a few games, but they've won a decent amount of them. So
nobody wanted to go to the ballpark. They were scared to catch the coronavirus.
Yeah, that's true. So I like Peterson for 7,600. I think with Castillo off the slate now, he's going to get juiced up here and probably end up, I'm guessing the top pitcher tool won't like him if he's owned any higher than he already is. He's going to be close to 20% without Castillo. And now I'm guessing people will just save a few dollars, or actually a couple grand off of Castillo and load up on their bats. And Peterson seems like the logical guy to pick up a lot of this ownership.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. Do you have a single Marlins bat you want to recommend today?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm good on the Marlins.
Yeah, you and me both. VR is in a vacuum is priced okay. Not my spot. Marlins dead last. 20th out of 20 for me in my stack rankings. Mets are 11th on both sites. Kind of like them a little bit more on FanDuel than I do on DK. The problem is they're kind of hard to stack on FanDuel. 3 outfielders in your top 4 positions, or in the lineup at the very least. Do you like the Mets here against Humberto Mejia?
I do. They're my number one stack right now, actually. I've got a ton of Nimmo, and Dominic Smith is not picking up any ownership. I know he's probably going to bat 6th at best, more likely 7th. But our projections like the Mets, and they're not getting owned. So yeah, I don't see what's to dislike about them on DraftKings specifically. I'm surprised you said that they were 11th for you.
So I don't want to overreact to like the raw ranking. Where I have the Mets and where I have the Rays, who are 3rd, there's not a lot separating them. You can make a case that 3 through 11 are all basically the same tier, ignoring salary. They're just really bunched together. Blue Jays are at the top, then a gap, then the Phillies, and then a huge list of teams before it falls off after the Mets. So while they are 11th in aggregate, and I likely would not get to them all that much, it's if this run total went up a little bit more, or they move their lineup around a little bit, they could easily hop up. So it's a really tricky spot in the mid tier for me today.
Yeah, that's fair. It's going to be like same sort of thing as most 11-game MLB slates, where you've got maybe one or two top teams that are picking up a lot of exposure, and then the next 7 or 8, if you play this spread out approach, which I think is what a lot of the top players do, you're going to end up with 3 to 5% on a handful of other teams as well. So that makes sense. The Mets are just breaking free for me because they're getting a lot of love in the top stacks.
Yeah. Top stack odds double their ownership share as of right now. I really do like these guys at the top. Nimmo, Davis, Conforto. It helps that you get some additional eligibility. Like JD Davis is a third baseman on DraftKings, outfielder on FanDuel. McNeil gets third base outfield eligibility on DK. I think they're easier to get to on DK. So that's where I would be focused most if I'm trying to roster the Mets. Favorite bat on the Mets side?
I guess based on ownership, I like Dominic Smith to hit a home run here.
Ooh,
dual position eligibility. He's under 1% owned right now, I think. Yeah, I just like the Mets stack a ton, so he's really popping off for me.
All right, if I'm taking one Mets bat on FanDuel, I'm going to be super contrarian. I'm going to go to Michael Conforto. I think that he's decent at baseball, but without like joking around, 3,100 for an outfielder. He's the best hitter on the Mets. Huge power potential. It's not a great park for power, so at the very least, I want to lean a little bit closer to where the power plays up, and that would be lefty power in Miami. So give me a little bit of Conforto.
Love it.
We're moving good, man. 5 games up, 5 games down so far. We've got 5 more to go. Again, if you can't hit that like button, I know we only have like 225 of y'all in here, but I think we can get the likes over 100. Like triple digits seems like it'd be perfect.
We can get over 100 for sure.
Yeah. Slow grind. Red Sox and Phillies. Red Sox 5.3 run implied total. Phillies 5.7. Zach Godley starting for the Red Sox, who I think only starts in games where you and I do shows together. Zach Eflin going for the Phillies. I feel like the last time I talked baseball, we had 2 Zachs on the slate as well. No one's owning Godley. No one's owning Eflin. I'm not surprised by that. Red Sox, my 4th or 5th ranked stack, depending on which site you're playing on. Phillies are 2nd. You getting to any pitching in this bad boy?
I'll probably get to some Godley.
Of course you will.
This was a couple of years ago. I'd be all in. I'd be taking a second mortgage on the house, just firing up as much Godley as possible. I only got to a couple shares of him so far. The problem is him. Well, he's not the same pitcher as he was a couple of years ago when you could roster him for 5,600 with a 5.8 implied total against. It's just too high of a total for him to project like in play right now. If you just wanted to throw in a $5,600 pitcher, then sure, but there's probably better options, even cheaper than him. So it's about the bats here with this massive total. And I want to say I like the Red Sox, but you just look at all these hitters and they're just so weak. Some of these guys, and then you're not even getting discounts on like Christian Vasquez, righty, $4,500 on DK when you got Darno and a bunch of other cheaper catchers. So outside of the obvious guys, Devers and JD and Bogarts, I don't really like the Red Sox full stack that much.
I think you can get to something. Those first 5 guys, Verdugo, Devers, Martinez, Bogarts, Moreland. I like that. Not really tough to get to, hits the right positions, no crazy prices. So I'd be happy to go that direction. We have the Phillies as the number 1 team in the top stack odds. How does that feel to you? They are going a little bit over-owned. It is a great spot, though, and a big-time run total.
Yeah. Yeah, they look good. I mean, they're a little bit over-owned, but they just have the highest top stack percentage, so more likely to play them than someone who's 3% chance of being a top stack and has 8% like ownership. They've got a really strong lineup, 1 through 6, 1 through 7. If you want to include Bruce and Segura in there. How's Godley's power numbers been?
Can't imagine good.
Yeah. So he wasn't pulled up on FanGraphs like starting pitchers page. So I'm
pulling him up right now.
He's striking out a batter per inning this season. He's just not going deep. And yeah, he's already had a couple blow-ups. So I'd imagine his power numbers, even if you include 2019 and 2018, it's really going to be tough. Like he's getting a decent chase rate, but a lot of last year's numbers were out of the bullpen anyways. His stuff is not deceiving anyone. It looks like 10% swinging strike rate, including last season's numbers.
I've got it for you here. 237 x ISO against lefties this year, 298 against righties. If I include 2019, 225 x ISO to lefties and 953 pitches, 207 x ISO to righties in 850 pitches. Is giving up, basically like a 370 x WOBA. Swinging strike numbers look okay-ish, but the rest of this package is not very good. He's getting hit pretty hard.
Yeah, that's awful. Those are some really, really bad numbers, even worse than what I had in my head. You don't need to play Godley. So I take back what I said about getting a couple shares. That's even too generous. He's only going to go 3 or 4 innings at best.
Are you more likely to get Philly stacks or Red Sox stacks?
I think Philly stacks, just because huge, like really high chance being top stack. And then what I said about the rest of these Red Sox hitters, once you get past the first few, it's pretty weak.
Yeah, if I'm looking at this, just given where the ownership is, I think I'm more likely to have leverage on the Red Sox than the Phillies, but I think my overall ownership would be higher on the Phils. Sure. Phillies coming in second for me on both sites, quite a bit behind the Blue Jays, who we will get to coming up in a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean next. Red Sox favorite bat, who you got? I think I know the answer already.
Devers. Who do you got? You have JD?
Devers. No, it's okay. Devers. Yeah, he's way too cheap. And you get him at a position that isn't an outfield spot. $3K on FanDuel, $4,400 on DK. I don't care how he's hitting this year. It's Devers.
$3K on FanDuel?
Yeah.
Wow. They should probably update that.
And then on the Phillies side, pretty usual for me. I'm going McCutchen. I don't begrudge anybody picking Hoskins, Bryce, or Real Muto.
Yeah, I got Bryce there. Real Muto, probably a close second for me.
Yeah. I got a thing for leadoff hitters.
I hear leadoff hitters get the most at bats.
They certainly do.
It's pretty helpful for DFS.
Certainly is. Orioles and Blue Jays. It's a 4.6 run implied total for the O's, 5.3 for the Blue Jays. Wade LeBlanc going for Baltimore. Nate Pearson going for the Jays. Pearson picking up a little love, 13% owned on DraftKings, where he's 7,400. No love whatsoever going to Wade LeBlanc, which is nice. Although, actually, I wish Wade LeBlanc was getting a lot of love, considering how much I love the Blue Jays. But let's start here. What do you want to do with Nate Pearson against a very terrible Baltimore Orioles team?
Yeah, he's going to be more in play, I think, for me, once I take out Castillo. Because he was getting a bunch of my ownership. He was going to be in about half of my lineups. He's getting mid-teens ownership. It's not like it's still a 4.7 implied total against Pearson here. And it's not like he's the biggest strikeout pitcher in the world. 20% K rate. Like, it's okay, but I don't think he's that much different than the guys that are much, much cheaper than him. Like, is he that much different than Wade LeBlanc on the other side, who's not getting any ownership? He's cheaper. I don't know. Maybe what I'm saying isn't correct, but yeah, I just don't see a reason to get to a lot of Pearson because his ownership is also going to come up a little bit.
Yeah. The only thing that I want to get to this game without question is Blue Jays bats. And on FanDuel, the stack is going to be pretty owned. Biggio, Grichuk, Gurriel, all in the 20s in ownership. That's 1, 2, 3. Double digits on Teoscar and Vlad. So you're getting the stack being normal. On DraftKings, though, I love them on DK, but it's not a traditional stack percentage that's going to trip you up. Grichuk is at 17. Gurriel is at 12. Brandon Drury is at 25%. He's projected to hit 8th. If you leave him out of there, you're going to have a relatively low-owned and unique Blue Jays pairing. I love getting to a top 5 of the Blue Jays. I think they have the highest outlook on the slate. This is a ton of righty power going up against Wade LeBlanc in a park where power is great for everyone. What do you want to do with the Blue Jays? Am I crazy? Because I get the Blue Jays pretty much always.
No, you're not crazy. They're good value, and like even their individual hitters based on their total are like all underpriced. Grichuk is way underpriced. I know we thought he was a reverse splits guy for a few years of his career, but he's just a pretty good hitter for under 4K. Yeah, I would just, if you like the Blue Jays, I would just limit the amount of Drury you can get if he's going to be that highly owned. I get he makes the stack work because he's flexible, second base and third base eligible, but 2,700, he's one of the worst hitters in the lineup. And that's the guy you should be looking to get out of your stack. It's the Chris Owings effect. And he doesn't even have a good spot in the order. Like when Chris Owings would bat second a few days last year in the Red Sox lineup and be like 25% and get you like a walk.
And all you need to do is just avoid him in a GPP and go to a different bat, and you're right as rain.
Absolutely.
Wade LeBlanc over the past 2 seasons, 194 x ISO to lefties in 500 pitches, 216 to righties over 1,700 pitches. This feels great. There's going to be some runs to be had for the Blue Jays. You're trying to buy home runs, and I think this is the best spot to buy them. In particular, Vlad Guerrero, 4,800 on DraftKings, 2,900 on FanDuel. I don't think he's being owned enough for this spot. Blue Jays are my number 1 team. Can't get away from them.
Yeah. They're going to be up there for me. I don't think they're probably going to be like 4th or 5th right now, I guess. But
you don't like money?
So cheap. I just don't like the Blue Jays as much as you. It's just the cheap chalk team. Like they make your lineups project really well, but they also are super chalky, like all the time. You're getting the same lineup construction, an expensive pitcher too, and then so that's my only thing with these cheap teams. I love.
I hear you. Favorite Blue Jays bat?
Randall G.
It's my man. If that dude ever learned how to hit a home run that wasn't a solo shot, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be helpful for stacks.
Miserable. For me, I mean, Grichuk's price is just silly and broken as far as I'm concerned. If we're looking for someone in the non-broken price tag category, give me some Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got 3 games to go, but I do want to point you guys in the direction of our season-long fantasy football package. If you go to our Twitter account right now, at Awesemo_com, or scroll up a little bit in YouTube chat to where Nightbot dropped the link about our season-long fantasy football package, you really should go check this out. You can get a draft kit that includes rankings, projections, sleeper tools, content from all of our experts. You get the Draft Wingman, which will update your team projections as you are drafting based on whoever you draft. You can also get a bonus. If you're a new FFPC member, you can get a $35 credit when you sign up for an Awesemo draft kit. So it essentially ends up being free for you. Alex is taking his DFS data and his DFS projections and making a set of projections for season-long football. I can't think of a better place for you to start if you're looking for NFL projections. The NFL is coming fast, so I highly recommend you get in on this now. Again, $29.95 for the season-long package. And if you go to our Twitter account at Awesemo_com, I believe it is, well, it was the most recent tweet when I realized I was going to do this read. There are now 2 or 1 more since then, but go check out that tweet. It might even be pinned. Awesemo.com/draft kit will get you right where you want to be. 3 to go. It's 12:09. We're going to be seeding this channel back over to the NBA crew right after this. So I think we're about to hit this one on the nose. I'm pretty excited. White Sox and Tigers, 4.9 run implied total for Chicago, 3-7 for the Tigers. Dylan Cease going for the White Sox. Tariq Skubal going for the Tigers. That cannot be a real name.
It appears it is. I don't think he's going to be a guy we play tonight, though.
No.
Not against
Although decent strikeout rate coming out of Steamer, but I only have him in for 4 innings today.
Yeah. And then you got a big total against him and just a stacked White Sox lineup. So if you could project him for like 5, then he would be more in play, I think. Yeah. But this White Sox lineup is just so dangerous.
You also not a great spot to target.
Yeah,
I mean, from a strikeout perspective.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. For strikeouts, but you got to have a lot in the tank to be striking these guys out 5 innings straight. I think Cease is probably the more interesting guy to talk about here.
Yeah, 26% owned on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, so he's got a pretty decent strikeout rate. It's right around league average, and then he's going to get a bunch of right-handed hitters in this lineup, probably 4 or maybe even 5 or 6, depending on what Detroit does here, depending on if Goodrum's actually in this lineup. So I like Cease, even though I wasn't getting to a lot of him before. He's another guy that's going to get the trickle-down effect from having no Castillo. So he's popular. I don't think you're gaining a massive edge with him, but I'm fine playing a chalky $8,500 righty against Detroit here.
I think he would be my most likely guy to be a giant fade, just given where ownership is and where my rankings are. He's 4th, but he's already showing 2nd highest ownership. And I assume with Castillo out, it goes up. I think that I would be more likely to go down on Dylan Cease. Just from an ownership perspective in GPPs, I think that's a spot that I would be looking to go and be a little bit different or be a little bit more aggressive in the Darvish and Carrasco mold, or Darvish and Snell mold. Sorry. I'm definitely not going to get to any Tariq Skubal here against the White Sox. White Sox, number 8 stack for me, number 9 on DraftKings. They're kind of similar to me in terms of them, the Mets, in that the construction of their lineup once we get to lock will determine that order of operations. There's just so many teams in that 3 to 10 range that it's hard for me to sift through them right now. But if the White Sox continue to go largely unowned, only Tim Anderson is in double digits in ownership, then I want to go to a place where there's a ton of power in the lineup, a lefty starter, so a ton of righty power in the lineup, and a ballpark that is great for home runs. So I really like the White Sox, especially if they're low owned. I think they could be kind of sneaky.
Yeah, they do look pretty sneaky right now. And I'm wondering why I'm not getting to much of them.
Easy to stack too. Shortstop, third base, catcher, first, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a pretty good spot.
Yeah, so maybe they just don't grade out as favorably as some of these other teams. It's not like they're crazy over owned in this top stack tool. They're low owned. They're decent chance of being the top stack, and going up against so this Skubal guy, Team B is saying he's got a 30% K rate in 80 innings in 2019.
Yeah, Cantor 33 dropped a little tidbit in premium Slack as well. If I check the prospects report from FanGraphs, he's the number 5 prospect on the Tigers, 23-year-old, 65 graded fastball. That's big time. Average slider, doesn't really have a third pitch, probably going to profile better as a reliever down the line, just given what I see here. But there's definitely some stuff to be had. Yeah, right. 48.2% K rate in Double-A last year in 2019, only in 42 and a third innings, but still, the guy could have some stuff. This seems like a really tough spot to flash a big fastball against a powerful righty team.
Right. So, I mean, it's not a very good matchup it's not that bad, though, because of the strikeouts that you get with this White Sox team. So I guess it's the innings that's going to probably end up keeping me off of him. But looking at his stuff, I kind of denounced him too quick, I think. And I usually, like, the great part of having the projections on the site, and you see a name you don't necessarily, you're not familiar with, and he's not projected high, he's not getting owned, that usually means he's probably not that great of a play. If you're just looking to get a quick look at things, but maybe when you dig in, I mean, if he could strike out 6 in 4 innings, that might be okay at 6,600 here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more worried that his command doesn't find him. And if you end up putting a couple freebies on, one, that's going to shorten your leash to being in the game. Mm-hmm. And two, if you're giving up any free additional base runners against this White Sox team, somebody like Moncada, Grandal, Abreu, Jimenez, Encarnacion, Luis Robert, Mazara, they're going to make you pay for it. So this strikes me as a really tough spot for Skubal. And if he's not picking up any ownership, then it's whatever. If he starts to pick up a little bit, I think that could be problematic.
I think, man, people will talk themselves into this guy. Like, I bet he's 6, 7, 8% owned by the time we get to lock. People love, including me, like, you like being first on a guy. And
sure.
Especially in DFS and MLB, like, if you can find something, people are saying, yeah, his fastball is a 15% swinging strike alone. That's really solid. Now, who knows how that'll translate at the major league level, but definitely not a guy you should just completely write off if he's going to have 0% ownership.
Yeah. To me, I'm looking to get more of the White Sox bats. They're just all these guys in single digits. Any sort of combination you can get of Chicago, I am in for. If I'm getting anybody from the Tigers, it's probably Nico Goodrum in the leadoff spot, but I don't really see the Tigers as a viable hedge stack either. Do you expect to stack up any Tigers?
No, not against a decent righty in Cease. I got to basically none of them.
Okay. Favorite White Sox bat?
I will take Luis Robert. Have we decided on his? It's been another week. Have we decided on his pronunciation? I swear I saw someone call him Robert yesterday.
I mean, I assume it has to be Robert, right?
It would be Roberts, right? We should know this guy's name by now. He's come in and like he hit a bomb yesterday.
We're going with Robert.
All right.
We're going with Robert.
No further notice.
2 to go. The Minnesota Jakes, 4.9 run implied total, 4 run implied total for the Brew Crew. Kenta Maeda going for Minnesota. Corbin Burns going for Milwaukee. Maeda picking up a little love, but I don't get it. He's 9,700 on DraftKings. He is without question behind Darvish, Carrasco, and Snell. I will have absolutely zero Kenta Maeda. Am I missing something here? Because this seems, I'm shocked that he's at 11%, and that's probably going to go up with Castillo out.
Yeah, I think you're kind of paying for the name there, I guess. I got to some of Maeda, but like you said, he's going to go up in our ownership projections when we get updates this afternoon, and you got to be really good at 9,700 and very efficient. Is the more important thing. So I get that he's a favorite, but I think that has more to do with the Twins bats against Burns than anything. I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent to Maeda tonight, looking at these exposures here. The Brewers, they do strike out a lot against righties. 28%. And that's, I guess, what you're paying for Maeda, but he's just so expensive. I don't see him going out and striking out 10 guys or anything like that. Like, I'd rather get to Carrasco. I think I'd rather get to more Snell than Maeda as well, even though it's in a much tougher matchup.
I want to get to Brewers bats against Maeda if he's picking up ownership.
So I didn't pay attention to much MLB over the weekend, but has Yelich picked it up at all? Does
it change anything?
Oh no, he's still one of the 5 best hitters in MLB, probably, right? He's just having a rough stretch. I'm not worried about him at all.
If Narvaez is leading off, that's that's an excellent way to get a catcher option in a game. Yelich in the 3-hole at 5,100. Smoke as a first baseman for 3,400. I think the Brewers are my favorite stack relative to their ownership.
Really?
Yeah.
I might say the same thing about the Twins, actually.
Okay.
You're picking up essentially no ownership.
Yeah.
They're under 1% right now. That seems like anytime the Twins are under 1% and they're not going up against Scherzer or someone like that, Garrett Cole, I'm going to be overweight on that. So they strike out a little bit against righties, but they're just so good up and down this lineup. Like they're going to have 7 or 8 good hitters every single night. They're going to have Arias in there. Who makes things very difficult for opposing pitchers, whether it's a righty or lefty. They do a good job of mixing righties and lefties together throughout the lineup, so you can't really platoon against them very easily. The prices are they're a little bit high for like Cruz and Mitch Garver, whose price is broken in the opposite way of Travis d'Arnaud. But that just makes them a more appealing stack because they're going to have very low owned parts of it that are still good hitters.
Yeah, I think I'd be more likely to get individual pieces of the Twins lineup than I would to the 5-man, whereas I think I would truly get a lot of 5-man Milwaukee Brewers stacks. And it's not going to take much to get over the public. Christian Yelich is at 8%, fully unowned for the rest of it. So give me Brewers. Give me Yelich as my favorite bat because it's Yelich, but Keston Hiura, probably my true favorite coming out of Milwaukee. 3,200 as a second baseman on FanDuel, 4,600 on DraftKings. And if I'm taking anybody from Minnesota, it's not even close. It's definitely Max Kepler in the leadoff spot.
I agree with you on both. Definitely Yelich. Even if I don't get to Brewer stacks, I will get to some one-off Yelich, some 2-man with him and Avisel Garcia or Smoke. And then, Kepler looks like, it's a discount you're getting on Kepler for 4,700 with the 5 implied total. Same thing with Polanco. So I see nothing wrong with Twins bats. They're grading out favorably on basically every tool that we have on the site.
So T McBee said, roll the R up front a bit and drop the T. Robert. I can't roll my R's, so it's just going to be bad.
Well, people are saying it's Robert.
Well, T McBee's telling me different, and I'll trust him over, anybody else.
So we
I'll say this much.
Bad about not
when people are like, how could you not know it by now? Because the chances of me hearing anyone speak a baseball player's name is like 0. Come on.
Yeah. Now. I mean, I already
not listening to the local color guy.
Yeah. I mean, I'll watch like Twins games around at my house just because I live with a bunch of Twins fans, but
and you are the owner, general manager, executive assistant, all those great things.
Of course. Not a bad time to be the GM of the Twins right now. They're pretty good, except for pitching. So they'll be good until the playoffs and then lose in the first round per usual. But positive outlook for the Twinkies, my Twins going forward.
Those Minnesota Jakes. Final game of the day. Chicago Cubs, St. Louis Cardinals. Cubs 4.6 run implied total. Cardinals 3.4. 64% chance to win for Chicago. Yu Darvish going for the Cubs. Daniel Ponce de Leon going for the Cards. Darvish is your chalk pitcher for today. 28% owned on FanDuel. 34% owned on DraftKings. Let me know. Are you paying up for Yu Darvish today against the Cards?
Yeah, more than I was going to before the show started. We've alluded a bunch of times to the Luis Castillo thing. He was going to be very popular in the same sort of price range. So I will get to more Darvish. I was getting to basically no Darvish before. 10-5 here against the Cardinals. It's not even that bad of a price. Well, you look at where he ranks in the top pitcher tool, he is the most over-owned pitcher currently, and that's only going to go up. So if you use the top pitcher tool, it's not going to love Darvish. And that's kind of my issue with him. It's really nothing against him. He's probably still one of the best raw point options. I think we have him a little bit behind Carrasco in the projections.
Do Are you seeing what's going on in YouTube chat right now? Everyone is arguing with T. McBee about the pronunciation of this. When T. McBee posts a video where he tells you how to say his name, and they're like, no, the White Sox announcers say it differently. I'm going to go with the dude whose name it is.
That's everything, though. You got to argue. Come on, it's the internet.
I'm going to go with the guy whose name it is. If we came on the show and I was just like, hi, my name is Josh Engleman, and then a week later you were like, hey, it says Engleman, but he goes by Williams. Like, that's not going to be how this works.
Yeah.
I'm already telling you what it is. So there we go. Anyway, get back into this. People are crazy.
People are crazy. It is the internet. So you just got to take everyone not too seriously, I guess. What about Ponce de Leon? At 7K here, we might get in. This might be a Wrigley win game in that it's blowing in at 10 miles per hour. So it's not the 25 mile per hour gusts straight in, but it's really low totals, suggesting that it is a Wrigley win game.
I could get to him. There could be enough strikeouts here, and if that's enough to limit some of the righty power from Chicago, I don't hate it at 7K. I've got him in for 4 2/3 innings. I think that's enough for a paydown option that's not picking up too much ownership.
Yeah, so he's actually one of my favorite guys right now, just based on what Vegas expects from the Cubs here. So as is always the case with Wrigley, the totals can jump around based on how the wind is blowing an hour before the game. It might be a crosswind by the time you get to the game. It might be blowing out by the time we get to the game. So hard to say exactly, but he's got a 27% K rate going back to the start of last season. I know he doesn't go very deep, but you've got him for 4 2/3. I'm assuming Alex has him for like around 5 innings, somewhere in there. But the point is he can get to 5 innings. And it's not like a 95th percentile outcome like it is with some of these other guys. I think somewhat regularly he gets to 5 innings. The problem is always the walks with him. He's got good strikeout stuff, but he can just completely blow up and have the wind blowing in not even matter. So pretty risky option, but one that I'm going to be taking a bunch of shots on tonight at 7K.
Do you take any shots on Cubs bats, or does the wind keep you out of there?
I mean, with a guy like Ponce de Leon, he can just load up the bases quick with walks. He's got a 13% walk rate.
Steamer projects a 14.
Yeah. So
even worse.
And then you've got some high upside bats with the Cubs, Schwarber, Rizzo, like even Ian Happ for 3,200 against a righty here. Like, yeah, I could see getting to some Cubs for sure on the other side and definitely want both sides of this, assuming the wind isn't like there's not like crazy gusts in by the time we get to the game.
I don't mind the Cubs. They are 6th for me. Again, so much of this will depend on the way run totals move and the way the orders come out. Cubs can go as high as 3, as low as 10. Let's just sum this all up now because we only have 3 minutes left before we want to turn this one over to the NBA Live Before Lock guys. They're going to have quite the crew breaking down this final hour before NBA Lock. So, favorite pitcher for the day, and who are your favorite stacks on DraftKings?
Favorite pitcher, Carrasco. Favorite stacks, I really like the Mets, and then I'm going to load up on the Twins if their ownership doesn't come up significantly. Another stack I like the Blue Jays stack, but they're just really popular, so I don't think I'm saying anything so helpful there. I'll go with those 3.
All righty. On FanDuel, for me, it's Darvish and Snell. If Darvish continues to be like 3 times his own to Snell, then it's Snell. Blue Jays are my top stack by a country mile. After that, I'm going to start sifting through it. So Rays, Brewers, Cubs, they're going relatively unowned compared to where I have them ranked. They'd be the teams that I'd like to take a bigger bite out of on FanDuel if I get the chance. 260 people, 111 likes. I'll take what I can get, but if you can drop a couple extras on there on our way out the door, that would be great. Again, NBA Live Before Lock coming up right now. Different link, but coming up right now. Jake, you're going to be live in like 15 minutes or so talking NHL. PGA show at 2:30. We got tons of content. Everybody, tune in. Best of luck today. Jordan, hit the music. We out of here. I didn't time it well.